Hey friends, welcome back. If you love Mexican as much as we do, I have some recipes that you're going to have to try. I've got a taco casserole. It hits all of the classic taco flavors that we all crave. And I made chicken chimichangas at home for the first time. I could not believe how crisp we got them without frying them. And I've got a copycat Cheesecake Factory TexMex egg roll that you're going to love. So sit back, relax, grab some sweet tea, and let me do the cooking. For this easy taco casserole, I'm starting out by just browning up a pound of ground beef, and I'm chopping up about half of a small red onion over there. You could use yellow, but red was what I had on hand, and I thought it would make it look really pretty too. I'm just going to brown that ground beef up and put my onion down in it so it can get nice and soft too. I have drained all the grease off of my meat, and then I am going to add in about a half a cup of water and a pack of taco seasoning. I'm just going to get that taco seasoning mixed in just a little bit, and then I'm going to add in a 15-ounce can of diced tomatoes. I did not drain these. And I'm going to add in a 15-ounce can of pinto beans, which I did rinse and drain those. Just going to put that in there, bring it up to a boil, then reduce it and let it simmer for just a few minutes. While that's going on, I'm going to shred up some lettuce for the top, and you'll be tickled to see I broke out my salad spinner this week. I have been missing it. So I just went ahead and cut up that whole head of lettuce so I would have some on hand for salads this week. This is absolutely one of my most favorite finds I've ever gotten at Aldi's. Look at the water that came off that little bit of lettuce I'm doing there. So now that I have everything prepped, I just pulled that meat mixture off of the heat, and I'm taking about 10 or 12 corn tortillas, and I'm just heating them up in a dry skillet there, just about 15 seconds on each side. Now I've taken a casserole dish, and I did spray it just a little bit, and I'm just layering some corn tortillas into the bottom of it. Usually when I have made these recipes like this before, I have used flour tortillas, and I really think this corn tortilla had a wonderful flavor. Now my dish is a little bit larger than an 8x8, which is what they suggested, so I'm really just getting about 2 layers here, but if you use an 8x8, you can really get 3 layers out of this. But I'm just making a layer out of my meat and bean mixture, and then I'm going to put some shredded cheddar cheese on top of that. Then I'm going to layer another layer of corn tortillas, some more meat and cheese, and then I had a couple tortillas left, so I just made another little portion down the middle with those two. Now everything in here is cooked and warmed up, so basically I'm just putting this in the oven at 400 degrees for about 8 to 10 minutes. You're just trying to get that cheese melted, and I did cut mine over onto broil for a few minutes just to kind of melt that cheese down. And here's some of the toppings that we used to decorate the top of this. If you were making this to take somewhere or to serve to someone other than your family, if you had company or something, this could be a beautiful presentation to put all of the toppings on the top of the casserole. But what I did with mine, since I knew we would have leftovers, I didn't want to put the toppings all over the top of the entire thing, so we just did each one's portion how we liked it. And you can see how nice that just sliced up and came out of there. And it was steamy hot and delicious and so easy. Now on this plate, I'm putting a little bit of lettuce and red onion, some pico de gallo, big dollop of sour cream. And there, I wanted to give you just a little square so you could see how pretty those layers look, because I absolutely covered my plate with toppings. I'm all about the toppings on this one. But this was delicious. The flavors are there. They were wonderful and so quick and so easy. Now I'm going to do some baked chicken chimichangas. I have always been intimidated to try anything like this at home, but I went for it here. And I am cooking my chicken in the crock pot while I'm at work that day, and I just sprayed my pot, and I had little chicken tenderloins, so I just probably put in about the equivalent of 3 to 4 chicken breasts in there. And even though they're frozen, I just put the seasonings in there on the top of it, because when they start cooking up, it'll all absorb. And I just used some salt and pepper. I used a little bit of onion powder and some garlic powder. Then I mixed up about a cup of chicken broth, and I just poured that down in there so it would have a little bit of liquid to cook in. And I cooked this on low all day. When I got home, I just did what I always do, and I take my little mix and chop tool and shred all that chicken up right in the crock pot. It was done beautifully, moist, and delicious. Now, this had a recipe with it for Mexican white sauce that I thought I would make. And basically, you're just taking about a half a stick of butter, and then you're going to melt that down and add in 3 tablespoons of flour. You're going to cook that for 2 or 3 minutes. Then you're going to add in about 2 cups of chicken broth, and you're going to bring that up to a boil. Once you get that up to a boil and it's cooked a little bit, I added in a 4-ounce can of green chilies, and I did drain those. 4 ounces of cream cheese that I've sort of chopped up a little bit, and then I put in about a half a cup of sour cream. And again, you're just going to continue to cook that and stir it and melt it down. Oh, and I did add in some salt and pepper into this. And I'm just going to continue to cook this until that cream cheese gets dissolved down in there and it gets a little bit thickened. Got it, back up to a boil, and then continue to just cook it a little and reduce it. I honestly did not know what a Mexican white sauce is. There's no cheese in it, so it's not like a cheese sauce, but I thought, I'm just going to try this out tonight. So now I'm going to get started on the fillings for my chimichangas, and I've got a little bit of butter and oil that I have melted in a pan. Threw in some onions and garlic, and just going to saute that up for a few minutes. Now I'm going to add in my chicken, and I did not use quite as much as the recipe called for because I wanted to have a little chicken for another recipe this week. This was maybe 2.5 or 2 cups of chicken here. Now I'm going to add in probably a good cup of some Monterey Jack cheese. And I'm just going to stir that around a little bit. And then you add in a cup of the white sauce that you've made that has the chilies in it. Now we're going to begin to season this up. I'm putting in some salt and some pepper. And I'm going to use about a half a teaspoon of cumin. And then I'm going to use a whole teaspoon of chili powder. After I stir this up just a little bit, I'm going to squirt in just a little bit of lime juice. And then I'm going to add in about a half a can of Rotel, and I did drain this because it looked to me like my mixture was a little bit too runny. And this cheese I had on hand because I didn't know what this white sauce was going to turn out like. And of course, I tasted it. It tasted good. It just tasted sort of like a white cheese. But anyhow, if you don't have time for that, don't worry about it. Now, the secret to getting these so crispy is in cooking them on this pan. And what you do is you heat your oven to about 450 degrees, and I melted 6 tablespoons of oil and 3 tablespoons full of butter in the microwave. And you're going to rub that across your pan, and then you're going to put your pan in the oven for about 2 minutes. Then you're going to pull it out, and you're going to brush it again. Now, in the meantime, I'm filling these chimichangas. I put down a little bit of white sauce, some of my chicken mixture, and some more Monterey Jack cheese. And I tell you what, this mixture was hard for me to get wrapped up. I finally got a decent wrapping going, but this chicken, it liked to squirm around on me in there. I had a hard time with it. But down below, I will have you 2 different recipes for chicken chimichangas linked, because I really combined both of them when looking for this. I liked the one that said it was quick and easy because I loved that, and it just seemed like I could do that, but it didn't seem like it would have enough flavor. So I found another one that was also easy, but it had some different flavorings in it. So I just sort of combined both of these. Now, once you get all of them wrapped up, and I did have to have mine touching, I had more than I thought I would have, but you're going to take some more of that butter and oil and put it all over the top of them, and you're going to put them in the oven for about 10 minutes. Now you can see when they come out, look how pretty and brown they're getting. So now you're going to flip them over, and I noticed they were a little bit too done on the bottom there. I was worried about that, so I cut my temperature back to about 425. You just have to know your oven, and I know that mine gets kind of hot like that, so I probably should have started at 420 and went down to 4, but at any rate, I knocked my temperature down, brushed the other side of them, and put them in for about 8 more minutes, and I just watched them real close. They were not burnt beyond, being able to eat, but I could tell, if I didn't watch them, they could get that way. Now, I just had some beans to go along the side with this, and I've shown this before. I just take regular old canned refried beans, and I'll either put some taco seasoning or some taco sauce, which is what I use tonight, and I'll just mix that down in there. A lot of times I'll throw in some shredded cheese, but I felt like we had enough cheese going on tonight, so I just put in a big spoonful of sour cream. I was going to make rice this night too, because I knew we would have leftovers of that, but I really just had my hands full with this right here. So here are the chimichangas out of the oven. Oh my goodness, I can't tell you how good these were, and they were so crispy. When I've been out to a Mexican restaurant, I just about can't eat a chimichanga. The deep fry and the cheese and all the sauces on them, it is so much that, sometimes it will give me a migraine or make me sick. But these were perfect. The filling was delicious. That moistness was in there. It was great. They cooked up perfectly fine. And the outsides were crispy, and I didn't have to fry a thing. So I just cut that one open so you could see a little bit. Put a little bit more of that white sauce over the top. Here comes some more of that pico, some sour cream, and then some refried beans on the side. Throw out some chips and all those good fixings with it. This was absolutely delicious. You can see I'm so glad we had the chilies inside and that little bit of rotel. We ate these that night and there were so many. I had one for lunch 2 more days this week. Now, if you like a crispy Tex-Mex egg roll, this is going to be something that you are going to love. And I'm just taking some oil and butter, and then I've got about a quarter of that red onion I've heated up with it, and then I'm using the rest of that chicken from earlier this week. Into that, I'm going to put in about a half a teaspoon of cumin. Then I'm going to put about a half a teaspoon of chili powder. This did call for a bell pepper, but I didn't have that, so I just went with what I had. And I did have some garlic in there. I don't remember if I said that. And then I halved this recipe, so I just used about a half a cup of black beans that were rinsed and drained, and a half a cup of corn that was drained. Then I had the other half of that can of rotel from earlier, and I kind of drained that and put that in. And then maybe a quarter cup of some shredded cheese, and I just mixed all that up. I wanted to make sure that this mixture did stay nice and dry and not quite have as much moisture as the ones that I put in the chimichangas. And you know that quarter cup cheese was just not enough, so I did throw another handful in there. Now this is another one that got so crispy without frying, and these are little egg roll wraps. This is nothing you ever see me use on here because I'm not a lover of Chinese kind of food, but I do like to see it. But anyway, these were so easy to wrap, and you just kind of put them on the diagonal, put your filling in there, fold them in and wrap them, put a little moisture around the edges, and they stick closed. These little ones I thought would be harder for me to wrap than a big flour tortilla, but I could really work with these. And the filling didn't move around so much on me either, so that may have been it. I always like to try something new. It makes me nervous, but hey, I like to try it and just show you, hey, if I can do something new and different, anybody can. And these, I put them on a cookie sheet and I just sprayed it. Instead of going through the trouble of melting all that butter and oil, I sprayed the cookie sheet. I put my little Southwestern egg rolls on there and I sprayed them real good. Tonight I set my oven for 425 and I just cooked these about 18 or 20 minutes. And look how brown and beautiful, and those egg roll wrappers were so crispy and so yummy. I did make the rice this night to go along with it. Even though I'm not a fan of rice, I do like to make it for my family. When we have Mexican, they like it. This is my husband's plate. I'm going to show you the inside of one of his little Southwestern egg rolls. Look how good that is. You can see all those yummy things inside. And I think next week I'm going to make some of the chili Southwestern egg rolls. I love those too. So here's my husband's plate. I'm just putting him some rice on there and some of those leftover beans. Put him a little cheese on top of him. He's a little finicky. He's not a real big lover of tomatoes, so he didn't want any of that on his. Just some sour cream. And I did make some more of that Velveeta cheese dip we love, just Velveeta and rotel. Now this recipe I'll have linked for you below. They do have the recipe for the avocado ranch dipping sauce that they make at Cheesecake Factory too. But I'd made enough this week. I didn't worry about it. I just bought some of this Taco Bell kind. So here is my plate. And you know I want the pico de gallo on mine. And that right there is so good. That makes the best dressing for a salad. Anything like this to dip on. It's not overpowering, but it has the best flavor. That was a total win for me. Friends, I hope you have enjoyed these Mexican dishes. You know, I have been proud of stepping out of my comfort zone and trying some things this week that I never thought I would be able to make at home. But they turned out great, and I hope it inspires you to try some new things and some different things. I hope you have enjoyed them, and I'll see you here next week. Until then, as always, I send you love from my kitchen.